Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Okay, great. Welcome members and guests to attend our October Virtual Investment Club meeting. I'm Jay Eagleson, president of the club. I'm very excited to see that we have a few guests turning with us tonight, especially a few young guests. I should say also they're from Canada. They are Henny's friends. Glad to have you with us tonight. I hope tonight's meeting can help you see and understand how we conduct an online investment club meetings. So personally, I started learning so much about investing by joining the investment club, and we're here just to share knowledge and learning all together. So tonight, hopefully, you get some experience and don't hang up on the terminology or the tools we're using. Just sit back and relax to watch this reality show of investment meeting on your computer.
I heard you cough.
So for security reasons, we disabled all your names, emails on the attendees panel. We want to protect your personal information. We also muted you, but we will open the mic towards the end of the meeting to ask if you have any questions or comments. During the meeting, if you have any questions, you can just type it up. There's a questions session, or you will see the chat box as well. You can type your question there. Enjoy the meeting. So now let's quickly go over disclaimer. BetterInvesting is a nonprofit educational organization that teaches individual and investment clubs how to employ fundamental analysis to become successful long-term investors. Our club is a stock investment club. Our mission is to provide a supportive environment for all members to learn how to research, analyze, and invest in quality growth stocks over a long-term investment horizon. The stocks we present tonight are for education purpose only, are not intended to be a recommendation for buying or selling of any stocks. We ask you to do your own research. On the meeting agenda, next thing is the treasurer's report. Roy, could you give us the treasurer report?
Okay, just a moment.
Okay.
Let's see here.
Someone in the background making noises. Could you please mute your microphone if you are not talking or speaking? Okay.
Oh, come on. Sorry, I was busy with another club member getting organized.
And Roy usually is prepared tonight. Yeah, he was helping another person. And okay.
Now, I'm also probably a little bit behind because I was sick for 3 weeks. And,
okay.
But anyway, especially for those who are new, what we're doing is we keep track of our portfolio 2 different ways. When we decide on a stock to buy, I show that the next morning at the opening price, I put $1,000 into it to buy that much stock. And so you'll see the shares are in decimals as well, because doing it this way, we don't have to buy whole shares. And anyway, this keeps track of it. And we also have, I'm doing it on iClub Central's accounting program, which I can show you if you want, or since this is a long meeting, we can proceed to the rest of it. But as you can see, with $1,000, we're down in 3 stocks, but several of them are up quite a bit. And this IPG Photonics, we didn't buy it twice. We only bought it once. So that one has gone up tremendous amount.
Roy, interrupt for a second. If you click the gain and loss, it will show us the percentage. Gain and loss. Gain / forward. Yeah, that. There you go.
So it says 132%. So it's over 100% gain. And then we bought Bank of Ozark twice, and I have it listed this way so we can keep track of each purchases. And let's see, we've got views. I think it was view 4 we liked because that also shows the gain and losses.
So, Roy, the total gain for the portfolio is about 25%.
Yes.
Wow, that's pretty good.
I know.
Yeah,
we're
that started
doing well.
a year and a half ago, or less than a year and a half ago.
Yes.
So let me see.
Joanne, you asked me earlier the question about 5. So 5 we bought at a $45.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Now, if I can.
I think for the time being, let's do the other Ice Club Central next time. Is that okay with you,
Yeah,
Roy?
we'll skip that this time.
Okay.
So change
Sounds
presenter to you.
No, to Henny. Oh yeah.
Okay.
I just quickly take a look the agenda, the meeting agenda. Oh yeah, guests. There's a meeting agenda you can download. You can see. So for next month we don't have education. So I'm jumping ahead. Actually, next on the meeting agenda is Henny gave a education topic. Sorry about that. And after that, I will say we won't have education topic next month because there are so many companies earnings due for based on our portfolio. So you can just go ahead and assign Henny as the presenter.
I did.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Okay.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay. So this week we are going to look at a cyclical stock, and typically we don't look at cyclical stocks in Better Investing, but this is we decided to do that this week, and I'm just going to give some background on how cyclical stocks are dealt with in the stock selection guide, and SSG stands for stock selection guide. So this is there are 3 types of stocks: growth, income stocks that pay dividends, and cyclical stocks. And typically Better Investing methodology looks at growth stocks. These are companies that have a very steady long-term growth. Here you see an example of one 10-year growth, very steady, and then pre-tax profit and earnings are also up straight and parallel. So that's the kind of typical stock that we look at. But there are also cyclical stocks and what we call hyper growth stocks. These are stocks that are hyped up in the media. They have very high price earning ratios, and these 2 types of stocks don't lend themselves very well to the stock selection guide and the methodology that BI uses. So I'll just highlight some features of those today. So here's an example. This is Amazon. Currently, it has a PE ratio of 255. And in Better Investing, when we see something that's around a PE of 30, we think that's kind of high. So having a PE of 255 is quite out of the realm of normal. And not only that, but you can see here that the earnings and pre-tax profit are not up straight and parallel. They dip quite a bit. So not a typical Better Investing stock. This is Tesla. Same thing. You have no earnings at all with Tesla, and the PE on Tesla again is pretty high. I didn't put it on here, but I had looked at it and it was quite high. So not a normal stock. It's very difficult to value this using Better Investing methodology. So cyclical companies are companies that grow and expand with the economy. As the economy goes up, their profits and share prices go up, and when the economy goes down, they fall. So there are two types of cyclical stocks: basic materials and durable goods. So basic materials are things like mining stocks, and or oil and gas. They follow a commodity price, and they track supply and demand. Durable goods are things like refrigerators, cars, etc., and these are track the economy and interest rates. And there are a number of industries where you can find both these types of stocks here. Some of them financial, so property and casualty insurance, real estate investment trusts, because real estate will go up and down with interest rates. Industrials, construction, typically when the economy, the government will invest in infrastructure, and there's a lot of construction activity to create jobs and so on. Basic materials, again, that's the mining, pulp and paper, etc. And then we have technology and consumer cyclicals. So these are kind of the various industries that you would expect to go up and down with the economy. Here's just again an example of a basic material. This is cotton. These vertical gray bars that you see are recessions or contractions in the economy, and you can see that the price is fluctuating up and down very in almost like a regular pattern, and you know, falling with these recessionary periods. And in 2010, cotton reached an all-time high since I think the Civil War. And it was almost $2 a pound, and that was due primarily to flooding in certain regions, Australia, China, where they grow cotton, and there was a shortage of supply, and people started to panic, and the price went up. So again, supply and demand is playing into here, and you can see how cyclical it is. This is copper. Again, same thing. Recessions are the gray vertical bars. It's going along quite regularly between 1975 roughly and 2000. Around 2005 here, it starts to go up, and then the cycle is at a higher level, and that's a lot of that is due to expansion in China. More urbanization, and in North America and in Europe, a lot of our infrastructure was built after the war, World War II, and that infrastructure is now in need of refurbishment. So a lot of the electricity system is being refurbished, and that requires a lot of copper. So that's why it's gone up. But again, it's very cyclical. General Motors, durable goods example. I won't go into that for the sake of time. So when you look at these things, there's a theory that was put forward by a guy by the name of Martin Pring, and if you get a chance, read his book. It's called Technical Analysis Explained, and he talks about the cycles in the economy. The economy is always either growing or contracting around some equilibrium point. And for every there's always 2 points of change in going from equilibrium and then contracting and the growth cycle. There's always 2 points or 2 turning points. So when you apply that to financial markets, there's 3 types of financial markets. There's stocks, bonds, and commodities. So if each of those go through a cycle and they have 2 turning points, then you have six points in total, or 6 zones, if you will, in any sort of business cycle. And what Martin Pring did was he showed how these things change over time. So when the economy is contracting, as you see on the curve here, bonds are doing well because interest rates are higher, and so people will shift to bonds. And then as the economy starts to expand, people will get out of bonds and go into stocks, and then you see the pattern for commodities as well. So anybody want to guess what part of the business cycle we're at right now? Quickly.
Stock.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6.
Oh, sorry.
Which stage?
I say 5.
5?
Yeah.
I say
5. Good guess.
Yeah.
I
Good guess.
said 5 before the arrow was there.
Oh, okay.
Yes, you did. I heard that, Jade, or Joanne. Sorry.
Join. Yeah. Mhm.
So we're somewhere in this 5 range. People keep talking about the market going up further. At some point, it's going to turn, but we're definitely in the 5 zone. And so I think what the importance of this is to understand, especially with cyclical stocks, where we are in the business cycle, because that impacts commodities in particular. So commodities right now in 5 are up, and but they'll eventually go down. Any questions so far?
So the minus is meaning down,
Down.
but
So,
the stock is not really down right now, though. Maybe it's based on the technical analysis. I don't know.
Yeah. So it's.
Or maybe it's overall, like a globally, right? Not really
Yes.
U.S. based.
Well,
Okay.
it's when it starts to turn, you'll start to see stocks, going down. So I'm saying we're here somewhere. Maybe we're back here somewhere. So
I think somewhat maybe a 4, because the internationally things are just starting to pick up. The emerging markets and other countries, their economies are starting to pick up.
That's true. And so you can apply this to one economy, one country, or you can apply it globally. But it's starting to be more global because everything is so connected. So yeah, we're probably between 4 and 5.
You're ready to talk.
5 minutes.
Oh,
Okay.
sorry. Okay, I better get going. So when we invest in cyclical companies, that requires a lot more work. We need to know a lot about the industry, what the cycles are, what their problems, the SWOT analysis, be aware of the economic cycle, and we have to be somewhat contrarian. So what's being contrarian, where it's basically investing when everybody else thinks that they shouldn't be, and that gives the greatest price appreciation, but it also means that sometimes we buy when the PE ratio is quite high. So this was just a review for some of our newer members. We in Better Investing, we try to predict sales growth, earnings growth, estimate a high PE ratio for a stock, and then estimate the low price. And based on that, we determine what's a fair price and what the risk is. So, and I apologize for going through this really fast, but we don't have a lot of time. We can always talk about this later. So I want to kind of go through this very quickly in this context. When you're trying to project future sales and earnings growth for a cyclical company, historical rates, these straight lines that we saw earlier, don't always apply. So what you really have to rely on is your understanding of the company and the industry. So here's a good example. The stock goes up, then it goes down. Same with the earnings and the sales. It's not the railroad tracks up straight and parallel that we've seen on the first slide. And when you have a good company that's well managed, something like, say, Coca-Cola, it's going up steadily over decades, you don't see these huge drops. Okay, so but you will see that with a cyclical company. That's normal. Here's an example, another example. This is an ideal example. You see the cycles going up and down, and you can predict where the next cycle is just by the pattern, and that's in an ideal situation. It's not always ideal. So if I extrapolate the next one, it's going to go down and then maybe go up this far, but that doesn't always work out. So here's a an example that's not typical. And again, you can't really rely on the history very much. So you have to look at the company and how it's doing and what the industry is doing, what factors impact the industry. This is just being contrarian. So I talked about, you have to buy at the low point before it turns, and typically your price earnings ratio is high because your earnings are down, and so typically you wouldn't do that. A lot of people would leave it, but when you're dealing with a cyclical company, you have to sort of trust your judgment and hope that you've made the right decision. So the next part we use in the stock selection guide is we evaluate how management is, how well they're running the company, and typically you want to see these numbers very steady and increasing. In this particular case, look at this stock in 2009, it went from 16 to 10, the pre-tax profit, and return on equity went from 50 to 17. And then the same thing in 2015. It doesn't mean that the management is doing a bad job. It just means in this particular case that they're subject to economic cycles. So you have to look at other factors. And this is an example. This is a company that I know very well. They're one of my clients, actually, Cameco. They mine uranium, and you can see here, their earnings and their pre-tax profit are dropping like a rock. Believe it or not, this company is very well managed. They have an excellent management team, and they've been running the business for a long time. These things are due to external events that they have very little control over. But this is an example of a cyclical company that pays a dividend. Look at the dividend here; it hasn't changed at all from 2012 to 16, so you can rely on them, paying a dividend. A lot of this had to do with the Fukushima accident and a few other things in their production mines. So again, not looking at it, you'd think, okay, this is not a good company, but actually, if you dig a little bit deeper, it's very, very well managed. So when you're looking at how to forecast the low price in the stock selection guide, for growth companies, we look at typically the PE expansion, and with cyclicals, we have to look at what's the lowest price, the most recent price. That's the low price in the market. That's kind of the driver that we use. And then for income stocks, look at the price that a dividend will support. And again, this is I'm going through this really fast, and it probably doesn't make sense for some of our guests, but there's lots of opportunity to talk about this. So in summary, when you're looking at cyclical companies, you have to go beyond the SSG. You really have to understand the business, and you have to understand the company. That's it.
Great. Well, thank you, Henny. The reason why Henny's presenting this topic because he and Jane is going to present two stocks which are cyclical stocks, and so carry on, Henny.
Okay. All right. So thank you, Jay, and we're gonna this month Jane suggested we study the frac sand industry. So I'm going to talk about that. I won't go through the disclaimer because Jay went through it at the beginning, but I'm going to talk about why we pick these companies, what is fracking, hydraulic fracking, some of the industry trends, and then we'll talk about two specific companies, and we'll make a recommendation. So the two companies that we'll be studying are High Crush Partners and US Silica. Jane came across these companies, or she came across High Crush in the Value Line Special Situations report that comes out every month. It's available through the library, and the price at the time was about $13. And she did a lot of study on the internet to learn about the industry and some of the trends. She read their annual report, and somebody's shuffling paper in the background. I would ask you just to please mute the mic, because it's hard to talk and listen at the same time. Thanks. So, and she's been keeping track of the price and the volume of this, and did more recently looked at the quarterly report for 2017 second quarter. She decided to establish a position around $8, and she's adding to that position. When she did that, she wanted to study this company, and so we started together looking at competitors. Whenever we do these stock studies, we'd like to look at 2 or 3 companies in the same industry and compare them and buy the best one. So we did that, and we picked US Silica as the competitor to look at. Now I'm going to just go very quickly through what hydraulic fracking is, because I said earlier you have to understand the industry and what makes it tick. So this is a picture of a well pad in northern Alberta in Canada, but you'll see the same picture in the United States, in the Marcellus Shale area, and other shale basins around the U.S. And these guys are pumping sand into the formation. So I'll just talk a little bit about how traditional wells are completed versus hydraulic fracking. So on the left here, this is you just drill a hole for a traditional well. There's oil in the reservoir, and it basically gushes out. There's a lot of pressure, and the oil comes out. You don't have to do very much. You can put a pump jack on the top. In tight shales, it's a completely different situation. So the oil doesn't flow very easily. You have to do some extra things to get it to flow. So what they do is they drill a well down quite a bit, about 5,000 to 6,000 feet, and then they turn the drilling rig 90 degrees and they go horizontally. And then there are little tiny explosive devices in the pipe, and they'll start at the end here. They'll set off the charges, and these create tiny little holes in the pipe. And for each zone or segment here, they do the same thing, but they'll complete one, start producing, and then move along. So once they put holes in the pipe, they will inject high pressure fluid and sand mixture, and to break up the formation and to get the oil flowing. So here's a better picture. What they do is you have these high pressure trucks. They'll inject the fluid with the sand, and what the sand does is it props open the little tiny fissures in the formation. It keeps them open because you can imagine you're like 7,000 feet down. There's a lot of pressure, and it wants to close those little fissures that were opened up. And so the sand just keeps them open, and then the oil will start to flow through these open fissures. So that's very quickly how that works. Once they've pumped all this water and sand, it has to go back up again in the well, because the oil is coming. So the water comes out first, and then the oil comes out behind it. The water gets put into tanks and hauled off, and then the oil is recovered. So that's in a nutshell how the process works. Here's another sort of artist conception. They don't just drill one vein. You can go down into different formations, different shales all from the same well. And on the right here, you see a conventional well, and here you've got multiple zones. So with new technology, these wells are going deeper, and they're going a lot farther horizontally. You can go as far as 7, 8, 9, 10,000 feet horizontally. So and you can see here the different zones that are being produced. So we're just going to take a look at some of the trends in the industry, what drives the industry, so that we can understand it a little bit better. So frac sand they're called proppants or proppants because they prop open the fissures, and you can use sand that's naturally mined, or they can make also synthetics. And when you drill down very deep, there's a much higher pressure, so you need stronger sand particles, and those are typically the synthetics. The quality of the sand is very important. It needs to have certain characteristics to withstand pressure, and it has to be certain size and so on. And that's what differentiates one sand from the other. The availability is again very important. You got to get. You can imagine you have these crews drilling wells, and they need sand. A typical well will take about 8,000 to 10,000 tons of sand, and so you have to be delivering this stuff 24/7. So being close to where the wells are being drilled is very important. You know, from a transportation cost, and also from just-in-time delivery. And natural sand is you know, the price for natural sand is much lower than the synthetic. So that's if you can get good quality natural sand, that's much more preferred. Now the average amount of sand used is going up because of new technology, and because, like I was saying earlier, the horizontal distances are increasing. They can drill a lot farther across, and that helps the economics. So the number of stages per horizontal hole is very important, and it's a big factor in the demand for sand. Wisconsin is a key area. It has a lot of deposits, and it's the largest producer of frac sand right now. So there's a bit of a mineral rush, or, you know, you've heard of the gold rush. There's a sand rush in the Midwest around Wisconsin and Minnesota for high quality frac sand. Natural gas is very cheap right now, so relative to other fuels, so that's driving demand and keeping the industry going. And oil is sitting steady around between $42 and $52. So again, providing a consistent sort of price for the market. So the other thing I should mention is that this process of hydraulic fracking works a lot better with natural gas than it does with oil. You can produce a lot more gas than you can oil. So most of the wells are gas wells. There's cheaper oil sort of elsewhere without having to do hydraulic fracking. So and efficiency is a big deal. So operators that can operate at $25 a barrel, for example, there's a number of those. They have a competitive advantage. Others can only be profitable at $75 a barrel oil. So we're sitting at $52 or $50 right now. So those guys that are more efficient are obviously going to make more money. And there's about 40 operators in the United States that supply sand, and they do that for both domestic and international markets. So some of the challenges the industry has are finding quality sand deposits. As I said earlier, the size of the sand particles and how clean they are and so on, and how spherical they are, how round, these are all quality issues. There's very tight specifications. The American Petroleum Institute, API, has very stringent guidelines on this stuff. So having access to that is critical. Scale. If you find a sand deposit that's not very large, it doesn't make sense to to build a plant or a mine, and so you need large deposits that are next to each other so that you can reduce your operating cost and your capital cost to build a mine. Transportation, being next to a rail a rail line, and not having to transfer things. So if you're not near a rail line, you'd have to put the sand in trucks, get it to a rail or a port, and then ship it, and then offload it into trucks again. So multiple handling is a problem. So those operators that are near rail lines have an advantage. Permitting, there's a lot of environmental issues with sand, and so a lot of federal, state, and local regulations to get a permit to start a mine. And then there's just community, a lot of stakeholder opposition to these things. People don't want it in their backyard. Sand is silica, and you can get silicosis from breathing it. So there are some legal issues, lawsuits, and so on that some of these producers have to deal with. And then the big thing is the price for oil and gas. That's what drives the industry. That's the key factor that you have to consider.
Can I ask a question? Since you mentioned about the price, oil and the gas, so that's what I try to understand, the correlation between oil, the gas, and sand. Sorry, oil, gas, and sand. So the oil price has not, been. Yeah, you mentioned it's about 42, 52 or around that price. So what's the correlation? Is like an oil industry is down, so sand would be down?
It's more the gas. So so it's both, but more gas. So fracking is applied to gas wells more than oil wells. But if the price of oil is high, then it makes sense to produce the oil as well, because you get more money for it. So a lot of these reserves are known. The companies know where they are, but they don't always drill the wells until the price is high enough, because once they spend that capital to drill a well and to produce it, they have to sell it. They can't store it, or it's expensive to store in tanks and so on. So they'd rather just store it in the ground for free and wait for the price to go up. So if gas is not very expensive and there's a lot of demand for gas, then they'll be producing it. If oil goes up, again, they'll be producing a lot of oil. So and now we're seeing, because of what's happening in the Middle East and so on, the U.S. is starting to use a lot more of these reserves than it did in the past. So there's less reliance on import. But you can see here, this is a projection from the U.S. Energy Information Administration, and you can see that for oil, it keeps going up steadily to 2040, and then gas is on a steeper curve as well. Now there's maybe some disruptive technologies down the road, but I think for the time being, we'll always, at least in our lifetime, rely on gas for heating and that sort of thing. In Canada, that's the predominant thing. This is a U.S. crude oil production forecast, so it's expected to reach record highs in 2018, and the Permian Basin is the big one. That's where a lot of the production is taking place right now. I just wanted to show you that. So the numbers on top of the bars are the number of drilling rigs, and there's a company called Baker Hughes. They keep track of how many drilling rigs are in operation on a weekly basis. It's very accurate, and you can see that the black line is the sand, and the numbers on top are the number of rigs in operation. So as the number of rigs go up, obviously sand production or consumption goes up as well. So it's kind of obvious, but I just wanted to show it. This is North American rig count, and this was taken in end of September of this year, so a couple of weeks ago. You can see last year it was 684 rigs during that week, and in the same week this year, it's 1153, so it's double. And again, more rigs, more sand. This is rig count by state. So Texas is the largest by far. A lot of drilling is going on in Texas, and that's where the Permian Basin is. And again, you can see the number of rigs, 245 last year, 451 this year. It's comparing the same week. And then this is again by basin, and the Permian is 385. It's the largest producer. That's where a lot of the drilling activity is taking place right now. Eagle Ford and Marcellus are also up there. And then finally, this is sand production forecast for North America. Yeah, sorry.
Did the hurricanes in Texas, did that change things in the Permian Basin?
I think they halted production for a while, but overall, it didn't have a huge impact. And if I can put a plug here for my industry, the reason that not much happened in Texas is because most of their power comes from nuclear power plants that are designed to withstand hurricanes and tsunamis and things like that. So there were very few power interruptions in Texas, but certainly the conditions were not ideal for safety reasons. So they halted production until things kind of calmed down. You can see here in 2016 to 2022, and I had made a mistake and projected from 2017. But if you look at, and Jane pointed that out, so thank you, Jane. But it's about a 20% compound annual growth rate in sand consumption that's being forecast, and these are pretty accurate forecasts. There's a lot of money in the oil and gas industry that depends on these forecasts. So these things are you can rely on them fairly well. And that's it for the industry background. So in summary, I guess if we would look at how oil prices and gas prices are tracking, and keep track of some of where the companies are drilling for sand. They typically will be near the production basins like Permian and Marcellus and so on. That gives them a bit of a competitive advantage. But overall, this is a commodity that depends on just price. So the companies that can produce at a lower price and sell their sand at a lower price are the ones that are going to sell more. If you look at Morningstar, they talk about moats, competitive advantage that one company has over another. There's not a lot of competitive advantage in this industry because it's more of a commodity. So in a commodity industry, it's lowest price that dictates. So I'm going to talk about U.S. silica really quickly here. And Joanne, are we okay for time so far? Or?
You have 22 minutes.
Okay. So, and I apologize for talking fast, but so these guys are again, they're one of the largest sand producers in the U.S. And they don't just use sand for oil and gas, but they use it for a number of other things. You can see them here for making glass, for building products, and so on. So it's oil and gas proppants, or I can never pronounce that word properly, and then industrial and specialty products, ISPs they call them. Chemicals, fillers, etc., in paint and so on. So, but the majority of their production goes to oil and gas. They were founded in 2008 in Frederick, Maryland, and it was privately held at that time. And then they had an initial public offering in 2012. And I won't go through all of this. I have 2 slides of kind of their history. But basically what this shows is that they have been doing a lot of acquisitions. So in 2013, they made an agreement for storage capacity in certain areas. They made some deals with certain railroads. In 2014, more deals with Union Pacific Railroad and especially in Texas. They got approval for a new mine. They bought a small sand mining company, and so on and so forth. So since they've IPO'd, they've been investing heavily, building kind of their portfolio and getting into the right the right areas. So that's been their strategy, is to make sure that now the one I will point out is this acquisition of Sandbox Enterprises for $218 million that was done last year. What that is once you transport the sand by railroad, you have to get it from where, you know, the final railroad destination to wherever the wells are. And they used to do that with hydraulic trucks, which were very inefficient. The Sandbox is a new kind of transportation mode that makes it a lot easier to get the sand to the last mile, as they call it, and get it to the well site quickly. And if you have that capability, that does give you a bit of a competitive advantage. Keep in mind, they drill 24/7, so you've got people in the field, you're paying them, and if you stop because you don't have sand or something else, it gets very expensive. And I actually worked in the oil patch a long time ago as a summer student, and when you stop working, it's a good thing, because you get paid like double time and sometimes triple, depending on your shift. You're working 12 hours and you're out in the elements, and all of a sudden you stop for whatever reason. That adds on to your shift, and because of employment rules and so on, you get paid a lot of money. So we actually were hoping that things would stop. But anyways, so these are just gives you an idea of some of the basins here that U.S. Silica has, and they're in all the major areas. I won't go through the details of this, but they're definitely in the Permian in Texas, and in the Marcellus Shale. They have a lot of facilities. This is an interesting slide. So on the left, you see the oil and gas revenue, and then look at the margin, the contribution. So this is for 2016 here, and then for the first quarter 2017. So they're making 3% profit, 20% in the first quarter. But compare that to the ISP products. Okay, they're making 40% profit margin on those things. So quite a difference. But the bulk of their production is oil and gas, and so there's more demand for that. But they make a lot of money off the specialty products, so that's something to keep in mind.
Annie, you may have said it and I missed it, but what is contribution margin?
So in their, like, if they're making in this particular case, if you say 80 million and 10 million in profit, so the oil and gas is only making 11 million here out of their total profit margin, and here it's 80 million. So it's basically just the portion of the profit.
All right, thank you.
So what are these guys trying to do in terms of strategy? So they're really focusing on getting the right mines that are close to the customer, so they can. That's what low cost. They buy these things when they're cheap, the mines, and regional sand is close to the wellhead. They want to look at the distribution system, reduce their distribution costs, because that's a big deal. And the Sandbox, here's a picture of the boxes. They just load these and drop them near the well. So they're looking at more acquisitions to be more strategic. So I'm going to get into the numbers a little bit. I took this from Manifest Investing for Roy. I know you're familiar with this, but basically Manifest, what they do, it's a website similar. It's similar. They follow BetterInvesting, but on the left here are the current numbers for sales and net margin, and so on and so forth. And then on the right, they look at the 5-year forecasts, and they get this information. They collect it from different places, Value Line, Morningstar, Zacks, and so this is kind of where I took some of the information and made sure that it kind of correlated with what Value Line was saying. And I'll get to that in a second, Roy, because you had some questions about that, which were I thank you for, because I had made a few mistakes on this. So the other thing I want to show you here, there's a website called Motley Fool. Most of our club members will know what that is. Some of our guests may not, but Motley Fool basically looks at their members and they ask them to predict how certain stocks are going to do, and they keep track of that, and then they keep track of who has the best predictions. So they call these things Fool Caps. So 204 people said that U.S. Silica will outperform next year. 8 said underperform. The All-Star Caps are people that have been right in the past, a high percentage of time, like 90%. So these guys carry more weight. And out of the All-Stars, 4 say that U.S. Silica will outperform next year. The stock will go higher, and 2 said they will underperform. So here's the SSG. Now, it's a bit tricky, and I'll try to explain my rationale. So the 5-year estimate on, I tried to sort of combine Manifest and Value Line. So Manifest is saying that sales after 5 years will be 2290, and Value Line said 1800. So I was trying to be more conservative. I took the 1800, and in order to get 1800, I had to select a sales growth rate of 16.5%. And then when I did the preferred procedure to calculate the earnings, I put 16. Pre-tax profit was 20%, and I got that from Value Line, and tax rate of 25%, and that gave an earnings in 5 years of $2.99. When you look at the growth rate, it looks pretty wild. It's 85% almost. And Roy had a question, why is, that's an unrealistic growth rate. But if you go back and check here, in the IPO, they were at $1.50, and then in 2014 they got up to $2.23. So they did have some pretty good growth, and they got to the $2 mark before. So going to $3 is not unreasonable, because it's negative here, negative 63 cents for earnings in 2016. I think that's why the growth rate is so high to get to $3. And I'll explain why it's negative, why it dropped here, because if you ignore these 2 points, it looks like it's going up kind of, not too bad. So I'm gonna skip the, that's a bit of a stretch, I know. But I'll skip the management section because I got to give Jane a chance to talk here. But if you look at this is taken from their financial statements, okay, and just take a look at some of these red boxes. So 2 things are working against them in 2016. The amount of sand they sold is dropped quite a bit, but the average price has also dropped, and the contribution has dropped. So when demand went down a bit, their customers, negotiated lower pricing. So they had 2 things working against them. They had lower demand, and then the customers came back and said, well, we want, there's not a lot of demand, so we want you guys to lower your price. And that's how they got hit with that. And you can see
11 minutes.
Okay, so you can see that they here they're making a lot of money off the sand, 88 million, and then it dropped down to 11. The specialty stuff is staying pretty much steady. This is just the PE ratio. I took a PE of 20. The average high is 25. So when you put all this into the SSG, you get a 1.5 to 1 upside downside ratio, and the stock is a hold. The high price is 56, which matches better manifest investing projection, and it's about value line. If you take the average of the high forecasted price and the low forecasted price, it's somewhere around $60. So these numbers seem to be making sense relative to the value line and manifest. And so that's it. So my conclusions are that the company is focusing on executing a strategy based on some of the analysts out there. It's a potential trade opportunity. It could go up quite a bit in 2018, but there's also a lot of negatives. It's cyclical. Demand for frac sand is unknown right now, and then they've invested a lot of money into their strategy. So unless prices go up dramatically, they're not going to recoup that investment, and they'll run into a bit of a problem. So those are some of the negatives. So my recommendation is to wait and see.
Okay.
Haney, very good. Does offshore oil come into the picture? Can it compete with shale oil, or what do you think?
It depends on where you're getting it from, but like because of the transportation costs, it's a wash. But it's a lot cheaper if the price goes up a little bit in the mid 50s. I would say no, it can't compete with shale. And the other thing you look at as well is security of supply and political sort of issues. So if you don't want to be buying your oil from the Middle East for political reasons, then you might go to the shale. So in general, it's been pretty competitive, I would say.
Yeah, but there is also domestic offshore like WTI.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
But is that competitive?
It's not as competitive as the shale.
Thank you. I like your work, Haney. Very good stuff. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. So I've made Jane presenter, and I'll pass it over to Jane.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you, Haney. You have done a great job. So make my job easier. And we'll be looking at HCLP, and as Haney has mentioned, similar to SCLA, HCLP went public in 2012 as well. Is the integrated producer and transporter, marketer and distributor of high quality frac sand. And basically it sells to the customers through the long-term contracts. Some of them are expiring between 2017 to 2024. And in March 2017, HCLP acquired regional raw frac sand reserves located in the Permian Basin, which is very close to the oil wells. And the first basin mine permit facility in Texas commenced its operation in July this year. And it was much earlier than expected because they didn't expect to have it completed until third quarter, and hoping to get it to operate in the last quarter. But somehow it all completed early, so they are in operation since July. And also, HCLP owns and operates a network of terminals and an integrated distribution system throughout North America, including the Pot Spring logistics. That's a very good solution for the last mile Haney mentioned. And this is just I'm not going to go into detail, but this is just the background of HCLP. And on the left corner, you can see sales in 2014 has increased, and currently up to 2 quarters is already exceeding last year. And currently, can I have
Tom, could you please mute? Tom? Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jane.
Yeah, basically there are 5 facilities, and the last one being Kermit here, and the other 4 facilities was in Wisconsin. And that's a big area for white sand, here. And all these are in operation, and they are very active. And this is something Haney has shown. So basically, I'm trying to highlight the transportation costs for the location of the sand. So apparently, the sand in the Permian Basin will have the advantage. They will be able to get the sand very quickly to all the gas and oil wells. So this chart just shows the cost of the different mines in different locations. So as you can see, the Permian mines and the Texas mine, the transportation cost is 0. So that get their total cost down to 23 to 35 for Permian Basin mine. As opposed to Wisconsin, the total cost would be 73 to 98. So that give the Permian mine a big margin, the contribution margin of 15 to 30. So the transportation and transloading costs account for about 2/3 of total cost. So the margin for the Permian mines are definitely much higher, about 100% to 200% higher than the margins for the other mines. Any questions so far? Okay, so we go on. So not only high crush has a demand for the sand, it's increasing dramatically, but also high HCLP has strategically invested in owned and operated terminal network. So terminal network is very important because you have to get the sand to the well. So, and then also not only Kermit facility that is already in operation, HCLP already getting more facilities in Texas and Colorado. So about 80% Permian and northeast proppant demand within 50 miles of HCLP's owned and operating terminals. So basically, it has a very strategic position for its facility. So in that case, HCLP will be able to get all the operating costs down because it will avoid all the third-party transloading fees. And also, HCLP has full control, operational control of the distribution network, so it can increase the efficiency. And also, can we have the microphone muted? Yeah. Okay. Anyway, all these are just points about how HCLP has been able to minimize the transportation costs and transloading costs. So, and also HCLP has this prop stream logistics solution to improve last mile logistics. So it's also it's like a supply chain from beginning to the end, and HCLP will be able to deliver excellent customer service with a very low cost. So this is a chart to show how prop stream logistics solution works, and I'm not going to go into details. Basically, they have this smaller equipment to move around the sand, and also they have ability to minimize the congestion because the trucks are on and off the well side in less than 5 minutes. Also, they will be able to reduce non-productive time through redundancy of equipment. So they are able to make equipment redundant, so they don't have to spend any cost on that. And they will be, most importantly, they are able to move sand 10 times faster than the regular delivery. And this is to show the second quarter this year, the key financial metrics. And as you can see, the second quarter has increased. The revenue almost 80% from last quarter. And the contribution margin is exactly 100% higher. And compared to last year, quarter 4, it has increased by like 300%. Yeah. So it's strong, very strong volume growth of 53% in line with the previously communicated guidance. So this is 53%. But actually revenue grew by 62%. Sorry. Yeah. And the contribution margin has grown double. And this is the liquidity for second quarter, the end of second quarter, and the cash has increased to 27 million from about 5 million, and so they have a lot of liquidity just to show. And also, HCLP is planning to resume distribution of dividend sometime this year. It hasn't happened yet, but it will happen. That's what management has announced. And I think they halted the distribution of dividend about a year and a half ago when the time was difficult. But now they are going to get back to normal. And this is I have extract this from value line report. And based on the value line report, I'll show you.
Jane, if I can just make a comment quickly. The distribution is really important because High Crush is a limited partnership. So according to the tax rules, they have to distribute their earnings a certain percent. The majority of it has to be distributed to shareholders. And so when they stopped the distribution, people pulled out of the stock because they weren't getting that distribution. So I think if they resume it, the price will go back up again quickly.
Right. Yeah. Thank you, Haney. Yes, that's exactly. So most likely they will have to distribute this year sometime. And the value line report is projecting the 2018, 2019, the earnings per share to be about 2.27 per share, $2. And based on that, I have plugged in the earning growth and based on the previous profit margin ratio, I have put down 25 for the profit margin ratio. And so that's how I get to the earnings per share of 4.88. But I'm not saying that in 5 years' time we'll be looking at 4.88 earnings per share for HCLP, but that for the short term, at least up to 2018, 2019, we will be looking at 2.27 based on the growth trend of the company. Any questions so far? Okay. So we will go to next. So based on preferred procedure that Haney has demonstrated earlier, then we have this huge growth rate, and this is the HC the value line report. And if you look at previous distribution, this is the dividend they have been distributing. So they halted in 2016, and they are resuming. And I have to estimate the high value. I have closed out the outliner of 55 in 2015. And I get the average high PE of 21 and a low PE of 7.9. And so when I estimate the high price in next 5 years, then I just use 21, and 4.88 is from the preferred procedure that we just went through. And in 5 years, then that will be the estimated high price. Again, I'm not saying that in 5 years, this is the price we'll be looking at, but then at least in the short term, this is the growth trend. That's a growth rate. So that's how we use for evaluating whether this cyclical stock is a buy or hold. And for low price, I understand the 2016, the low price is 3.5, but I just thought it will probably not get to that point. But we can play around with the SSG, and this is SSG, and we can actually change to 3.5. Yeah, and then I click update. So with that, we still get into the buy zone of 60.1 to upside and downside ratio of 16 to 1%. So, but when I prepared this slide, I just thought to be conservative, I just take a 20% discount of the estimated low PE of 7. So that's how I get 5.6. But then even with, so the upside and downside ratio is 26 to 1 instead of 16 to 1. So even if we change to $3.5 as the low price, then we still get 16 to 1.
And what is the current price?
The current price is $8. When I did the analysis, it's 9.35, and today's today's closing price is 8.7.
And you think it's going to get up to 200 in 5 years?
I'm not saying it's going to get to 200, but I am expecting it to get to.
Or I mean 102?
20, at least 26 in next year.
What was the reason you give sales projection 40%? Sorry, I missed that.
Okay. I go back to the 40% is based on the value line report, and value line has the earning per share 2.27 in 2018, 2019. So it's about 2 years time. So based on that, I kind of plug in the 40% to get to 4.88 in 5 years in order to get 2.27 in 2 years.
Okay. So what happens to seem like 2016 the earnings are negative? Is that the same reason as the silica, the company, like demand went down?
Yeah, it's all the same reason, especially SCLP, its whole operation is sand, frac sand. It doesn't have this specialty business.
Okay. So 400 something, I don't seem like, I don't know.
Yeah, we can play around with the SSG. We can play around with that. So what do you think is the reasonable
Actually,
ratio?
I'm not sure because
Jane?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Or-
Jane. Not Jane.
Or Jane and Hanny, I have a question about using this SSG on a cyclical stock. It doesn't seem like it really lends itself to analyzing the cyclical stocks.
Yeah, the problem is that the earnings of these companies go negative,
Right.
And so when you go negative, then the the growth rate is thrown off, and you get these very large growth numbers. I think it throws the calculations off. So you kind of have to look at use some judgment and say, can it double? Can it triple? How did it? So if you look at these guys in particular, High Crush, they have production capacity of about 10 million tons, and they were selling about 2 or 3 million tons. So if the rig count starts to increase, they have the capacity and they have the logistics to get to sell more sand, and they would in the Permian because they're local. Their transportation costs are low, so you could see a huge kind of growth. The other thing is if you look at the growth rate, like how many wells would you need in order to? I did this calculation, and it's about, if they could sell to 80 more wells, for the next 3 or 4 years, that it's not going to be 400% growth, but it'll be a significant growth on their production. So you're absolutely right, but you kind of have to. That's why we went into sort of a deep dive on how these guys make money and where they're located and so on and so forth.
So if you were to use the SSG, wouldn't you kind of dial back on some of your estimates, just because it looks crazy to me? I mean, these are numbers I've never seen before, and it makes me want to run away.
Yeah, so I think I would dial back on the sales. I wouldn't dial back on the earnings, because the earnings, like, if we pull up the earnings table, the numbers that we're talking about, like, so you got $2, $2, $3, and you're talking about $4, and so to go from $2 or $3 to $4 in earnings is not unreasonable at all. But when you're starting out with a negative number, that you need a pretty high growth rate to get from a negative earnings to, say, $2 or $3.
Okay.
And so that's what throws it off, and
Okay.
that's what makes it
look crazy. It makes it wacky.
Yeah, but I don't know, Jane, if you can go back to the earnings table for 1 second.
Yep.
On the first
So
page on the SSG.
For the growth, does company have a guidance? Did they give guidance on the growth? Sales growth?
They didn't have a numerical guidance, but they have verbal guidance.
Okay.
And
Sorry.
Yeah.
First page, Jane.
Okay.
First page?
Yeah.
Okay, first page.
There you go.
I recommend to cross out 2007 through 2011, because they went with IPO 2012. Even cross out 2012.
But if you look at the earnings, and it's in 2013, they're $2.08. Then they go up to $3, and then they drop like a rock to based on demand and so on, to a negative number. So those are pretty wild swings. But in real terms, an extra $1 in earnings over a year is not huge.
So
given the fact that they're distributing all of their earnings.
So when you see a big number like that, 368.6%, that's more of an indicator that it's on the upswing versus.
Yeah.
That it's
because
really...
look at the 5-year earnings estimate. It's $2.26.
Okay.
And also the debt to capital is not 100%. It's actually 20%. Yeah.
Why did it give 100% here?
I don't know. I have no idea. I was wondering about that. But then based on the value line and the financials I'm looking at, it's 20%.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
that seems crazy. Yeah.
But I think Joanne, you raise a good point, and that's why we we started off saying that the SSG throws off these calculations. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense with the numbers, and I think it's the way that they do the calculations and the way they extrapolate the growth. They're doing a linear regression, starting with a negative number. So.
Yeah.
So
No,
5 years from $10 to $47. I mean, the stock price, that's 4 times. I mean, that's quite. I don't know. This is exception. I don't know how to estimate the earnings as well. I don't. I tried to use the 50 earnings using 50. It doesn't. It does not come out right. It was just not right. I think the way you did it is like, how do you say, like bottom up. You estimated earning per share is 2.26, right? Is that what happened? And then you using that to calculate what the earnings to be 400%. Is that how you did it?
No, actually earlier I used the revenue growth of 40%. Yeah, I used the revenue growth of 40%.
Okay.
Yeah, because in 2 years' time, the earnings per share is 2.27 based on value line report. So that's why I use 40%. But now if I change to 20%, even until 5 years' time, it's 2.27, 2.26. According to the value line, it's actually achievable in 2 years.
Okay.
So even if I do it like this,
Okay.
we still, and then we use the lowest price in 216, we still get 6 to 1 down upside and downside ratio.
Right.
So one thing I can't see is the end of the stock study where they show the long-term expectations at the bottom of the study normally.
You mean return?
Yes, long-term.
Oh, return. What's the return rate?
But
You show us SSG.
they usually show it 2 ways, with the average and then the high PE.
Yeah, 45%.
Wow.
45%, 36. Yeah. So your compound annual return is about 45%.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the distribution, if they really start distributing as at a level as before, then we'll be looking at 20%, just the dividend.
Yeah, so I think, to make sense out of this, I don't think the stock price would go from $8 to 45, but in 5 years. But I think it's not unreasonable to see the stock price double, say, in the next year or two. I think that just, and the other thing is with the earnings, which really throws it off, is this whole fact that these guys are a limited partnership. So by law, they have to distribute all their earnings for tax reasons. And you saw, I think, on one of the earlier slides, the yields were insane, like 12% and 36% yield. That's, I'll take that for a yield, but that's because it's a limited partnership. But then it's not guaranteed. In 2016 it went down to 0. So that's the cyclical nature of the thing.
Now with the limited partnership, you have to fill out a K-1 when you do your tax return, right?
No, that's we're talking corporation.
I don't know, because in Canada it's a little bit different.
Yeah, it's different. So right now earnings down and the sales kind of went down compared to 2015? Is it lower? You guys
came up?
Okay, sales 2016 200 million, 2015 340. You're projecting it's going to go up, right?
Yeah, it's been going up since Q1.
But 2016 the sales is only 204, right?
Yeah.
Right. So it went down.
What do you mean?
I'm looking at sales. So 2013 100. I'm looking at the actual the dollar. for 2016, the sales.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not looking at here. Sorry, I'm looking at SSG. Sorry, I was looking at a graph.
Okay.
Oh wait, you are looking at a quarter. I'm looking at annual.
Oh,
The
okay.
first page. First page.
First page.
Yeah.
Doesn't
Yeah.
show 217 yet.
204.
204, yeah.
Yeah. So we're expecting the sales will go up next year, 5 years in demand.
At least in 2 years, they will go up to 2019, at least 2018, 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Tom and Roy, do you guys have anything to say? Comments?
Well, I kind of agree with Joanne. It's beyond me. Not that it's smoke and mirrors, but like the price going up, double or quadruple. It got to make a lot of assumptions that. I guess if you really know the industry and can figure out what's going to happen in the next year or two, that's great. But I'm sort of behind the eight ball. It makes me nervous.
Yeah, and on that note, is this with cyclical stocks, you have to really pay close attention to where it's trending, right?
Yeah, I was thinking that what Haney said about maybe doubling in a year, or
But then does it go down?
But it could go down after that. So yeah, I think that would be a short term, not a 5-year and forget type thing.
Yeah, for cyclical stock, we are not looking at long term. We are looking at, it's a short play. We are looking at like 1 year, 2 years thing.
Oh.
Cyclical stock, you never really, because you have to follow the business cycle, right?
So Tom, what do you think?
Or you can hope for somebody dropping the bomb on North Korea, in which case this thing will shoot up like.
Yeah.
Okay, so I complete my presentation.
Yeah.
That's not funny.
I know.
That's not funny. So you may wonder how Hanny knows the industry very well. Actually, that's your study. That's your major, right?
Yeah,
Something
I did a degree in chemical and petroleum engineering, and I worked in the oil patch for a couple of years.
That's why he knows very well. Tom, are you there? Tom, are you sleeping? He's not talking, but he's green. Anyway, I was wondering what Tom going to say about this.
Well, we're like 20 minutes over.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I thought it was worth discussing because I don't think we've ever bought a cyclical stock, and it looks so strange to me. But I mean, given the industry information, it seems like it could be a possibility. But when you compare it to the SSG, if I didn't have the SSG, I would say I would make a motion to buy. But looking at the SSG just really throws me.
Again, SSG is not.
I mean, because we usually don't, unless the upside down ratio, we like to see it around 3 to 1, and with the potential price appreciation, 400% is way. I mean, I've never seen a number like that.
And you're talking about cyclical, but the business cycle seemed kind of stable. Is this related to the price of oil and gas, or what cycle is this related to?
Yes, oil and gas.
And it's my impression that the price of oil and gas is expected to be kind of range bound in the next few years anyway. Maybe not.
It's starting to creep up. There's indications that it'll creep up. I think, but I want to highlight, like, there was a webinar done by Ken Kavula recently on Amazon, and you're looking again. These are stocks that Amazon has been studied quite a few times by the BI community, and you're looking at PEs of 255. So really, like cyclicals, Amazon, Facebook, all these stocks, it's a different type of analysis. It's very tough to predict using the SSG, or not that it's hard. It's just you have a different feel because it's out of the norm of what's usually done.
It's a new
I have
normal.
to correct it. Right. I think Facebook's line looks pretty normal. We did a Facebook study a couple months ago. Now, Amazon, it is different ball game. Yes, they don't make money. I don't know how Jeff Bezos did it. I don't own Amazon, but Tesla, like you listed as another example, cyclical. I bought it back then. It was just a risk, like Las Vegas stock, as we used to call it. Yeah,
But I
for this one.
This one is not a Las Vegas stock because we can see the growth trend. I mean, even though the history is not long, but then all the industry trend that we are looking at that Haney just went already indicating the direction it's going to go. And then we already done the SSG based on what we can think the best we can think, and we are already very conservative using 3.5, and we still get 6.6. And we are looking at the limited partnership distribution of 20% based on 2 days ago price, even though now it's dropped down to 8.7. But all the indications show that this is going to fly.
Yeah. You know what? It's only $10 a share. We may buy some just for learning education purpose to see how this industry is going to do as a cyclical.
Yeah, it's not even $10. $7 anymore.
So should we just wait and see during the voting and see if there's any motion to buy?
Yeah.
Okay. So, all right, let's carry on. Well, thank you so much, Jane and Henny. You guys did great, and then we learned a lot about this industry and cyclical.
Yeah, like I said in an email a few days ago, we formed this club to learn things and learned a lot tonight. So thank you.
Okay.
Thanks. Thank you. If I can make one comment, I think it's really important, regardless of the industry, whether it's cyclical or not, that we really look at the drivers and what's causing, sales to grow and so on. Because the SSG is a very easy tool, and you can plug in any sort of number you want. But I think understanding the drivers is critical, and that's kind of what we should be looking for all of our stocks.
Agree. Okay, so next month's stock study will be Joanne, Roy, and Bernard. Joanne and Bernard will present, but Roy will present. Each will present one stock, and then Roy is going to help and facilitate and help. Roy is Bernard's mentor. Bernard is a little bit new to us, so they will work together. All right. Oh, for next month's stock ideas, can I make some quick suggestions?
Yes, please.
Intuitive Surgical had a 3-2-1 split. I'm wondering if that company, because used to that company does not have any competitive. They do robot surgery, Joanne, you know that company, Intuitive Surgical. I'm wondering if that company is in a buy. And then another area and field I'm thinking about is that, so since selfless driver cars, everybody's into that. I have even see Chinese market, they are talking about selfless driver cars. I'm wondering, any parts, for example, like a camera, sensors, anything related to selfless driver cars components, any industry or any technology companies are making components, it can be a big hit. Kind of like back then, Roy and I did OLED. The rumor was Apple was going to use OLED. Back then, the SSG didn't look good for a while, but now the way tripled our stock. So.
Well, I see where Intuitive Surgery, they do have some competition now.
Okay.
I was listening up to, there are some new companies getting into that field.
So that
Okay.
might be worth looking into.
Yeah, might be also, yeah, okay, great. That's just some ideas that I have in my mind. If you guys can,
What's the symbol for that, Jay?
ISRG.
ISRG, I think.
YSRG?
No,
Oh, ISRG.
Oh, we own it. We own it. Sounds like you guys all have it.
No, I don't own it.
I don't own it.
Oh, Roy must own it. I
No,
own it.
Carol Cross beat it into me.
Oh, she bought it $80 a share. That was like 1,000 something, but 3-to-1 split was last week or last month. I can't remember.
Well,
Anyway, yeah.
Morningstar gives it 2 stars. They think it's over the fair value.
Really? Okay.
But
okay.
the
Anyway,
industry might be worth a look.
yeah, industry, yeah, robots.
Yeah, we'll check it out.
Okay, check it out. Okay, so let's talk about our quarter report. First, let's go five reports
Okay.
last month.
We're like over time, so I'm just going to do a real quick summary. It's online. 5 did outstanding this, and actually my report is late because I should have done it last month, but I wasn't here. So their estimate for the prior quarter, or they actually outdid all their guidance for this quarter. Their prior quarter for sales growth was 20.8%, and they did 28.7%. Their pre-tax profit was 20.9% the prior quarter, and this quarter, or the most recent quarter, they did 68.2%. So their trailing 4 quarters are shifting upward. EPS growth 66%. They're attributing this to their expansion into California, their ability, their nimbleness to identify trends and quickly launch products, get them manufactured. So spinners was a big component that drove their sales this last quarter. Their PE is above the specialty retail. The current PE is above the average PE, so there's not much room for expansion there. Let's see. The risk reward is 2.1 to 1, and the return is 9.6. It's so their guidance for 2017, I updated it. They have they're estimating an increase in sales, and then their comp sales, the increase in comp sales, and their net income range, they also boosted that up. So they expect to have a effective tax rate of 37.5%. That hasn't changed. So overall, they're doing really well. In the conference call, the analysts were asking if their ability to identify trends, I mean, was this just a fluke? And they said no, that's really their focus, to find out what the latest trend is. So they're hesitant to say what they are coming up, but let's see. One of the things, they have good cost controls, and their gross margins are likely from operating decisions and not trade-offs with the balance sheet. So that seems to bode well for them. And they're in hold right now. So the buy range is 36.5 to 51.1, and they're at 55, around 55.
Has the company improved their website?
Well, you know what they say, the website is their in-store sales is what's driving all their numbers, and they're not really putting a lot of emphasis on the website. So, I mean, for sales, they just have that as a presence. I know. I looked at it looks really cheesy, and
maybe the teenagers don't care about the website. They care about Snapchat.
Yeah.
You know,
and they are leveraging social media.
Right.
And they're actually found a lot of return on TV commercials.
Who watch TV
Joanne?
commercial?
Yes.
I don't.
Joanne, would you recommend selling if it's up that high?
No. I think there's still gonna be selling more, opening more stores. I think they're really in a growth pattern right now.
Right.
Would you
Also,
recommend buying again?
No, not right now.
Yeah.
I think if it gets into the buy range, I would buy some.
I think we should hold because the holiday season is coming up.
Although, okay, so one of their things was, I think they have 24 stores in Houston and only 4 stores reopened so far. So depending on weather and I don't know,
Right.
the environmental conditions,
Mhm.
I would just hold on. It seems like they really, their sales are based or their growth is based on their ability to identify trends. So depending on what they can identify next, it seems like they do a really good job. I mean, I don't really know these teenage things. Like there were these things called bands, rubber bands in shape of animals, and that were
We should
really.
ask Henny. Henny have youngest is teenager. Do you have a teenager kid, Henny? Or are they all college?
I do, but he's in high school, so
Yeah, he's kind of out of that range, huh?
he's not a
Oh, I
girl.
see.
That's the problem.
Oh, teen, not teenager, teens. Okay, I see. Okay.
Although
But they're focused on girls, are they not?
no. And the
No.
thing is
Oh,
that
okay.
that's what's driving more people to their stores. Is that I can't remember. So they have
he bought a spinner, I have to say.
spinner, and then they're focusing on Bluetooth type devices. So they have a technology component. They have a decoration, interior decorating component. They call them their core business. So I mean, I think they're trying to be attractive to more than just girls, teenage girls. They're trying to get the younger, the boys and the adults. So
Yeah. We sent Matt to check out the store because at the Ohio, he said there's a store near him. When he come back, we should ask him about sending him to the store to show us.
I mean, okay, I was apprehensive about this business when I first started watching it, but as we've been holding it, I've gotten to like it more, and I think that there's definitely good prospects. I think it's well managed, and I think that they have a great vision for this company. So,
did you find out if they have a distribution center near California?
Oh, I forgot.
Okay.
Yeah, you asked.
Next time. It must be because otherwise it'll be too expensive to drive from Houston, East Coast to California.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Joanne. So you're going to present Bernard's report. So Bernard just can talk through the points then. Is that okay, Bernard?
Well, I don't know. Wait, is it here?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay. Bernard, you are muted. Just let you know, Bernard, you are muted.
Let's see.
Okay,
Bernard,
now I'm okay.
Okay. So go ahead and start talking. Joanne is to pull out your report.
Well, if I'm going to do a stock study, I'd like to do something I really believe in. I'd like to, normally I look at about 20 stocks and then I present one that I think is real good. That's what I'd kind of like to do it.
But
that's a stock study. We're talking about your report.
Oh, my report? Yeah, I'm ready for that. I mean,
okay. So I'm bringing it
go ahead. Okay, tell us about Ozark. What's going on with Ozark last quarter?
Well, as you can see the numbers, I can't move it. But
I can move it for you. Tell me where to go. Just go down.
Well, okay. So first of all, the earnings were up. Quarterly earnings were up 13%.
Okay.
And as far as year-over-year sales growth, it's hard to tell because it's a bank and they don't really list sales, and they have income from a lot of places. They have investments, they have fees, but anyhow, year-over-year sales growth, we got 18.6%. But see, okay. And the earnings growth is 13.6%, and pre-tax profit, we can't figure it out, but it's maybe 26%. So things, it's improving, going up. And also the current PE is 15.3, but the average PE is 17.6. So relative value of 0.88. It's sort of maybe possibly a bargain. At the conference call, they talked about this guy that left.
Yes.
I think with
I was
Dan
going to ask
Thomas.
about that. Yeah,
Too.
Dan Thomas. Yeah.
And what they said, what the CEO said, George said, he said he was a good man, and he was in charge of our real estate department, but real estate loans, but he had a good team, and the team is still here, and number-wise, we're not being affected. We're still doing fine in the real estate loans and in so forth. Now, I'm on the bottom. I didn't get to finish the top, I don't think.
Okay, have they just, that's all I care. Oh, sorry. I understand they have a good quarter. Sorry, we ran over time. They have a good quarter. I just curious to know that the price dropped was because the VP resigned, right? So has the company found a replacement? Are they still looking?
George didn't say that, but it's not a problem. That guy left, but he was only a head of a team. The team is still there doing the real estate loans. That guy leaving is not a problem, according to George, the CEO. Let me go to the bottom page and then I'll finish.
Okay. I think that's what we care, what I care.
Well, the tone of the call was very optimistic. That last quarter, they had 251 offices. Now they have 252. They've got new offices. They're planning to go to, I think 290 offices. They're going to close 20 offices that are performing below normal, and they're opening new places, new offices. And in general, the tone was pretty optimistic.
Okay. So he didn't say they are looking for a replacement. They has to, because, yeah, I understand the team's still there, but they need a leadership. They need someone to lead a team.
Well, okay, that wasn't mentioned, but I imagine what's happened that somebody in the team has moved in to the new position or will move into the new position.
Okay.
Somebody will be promoted. But anyhow, George did say that it's not a problem.
Okay.
The real estate is still performing as good as ever.
Okay. All right. So,
And if I recall correctly, Bernard, that's the real estate, commercial real estate is a big part of their portfolio.
Yeah, I think that's right, Haiti. Yes. But according to the CEO, it's not going to be an issue because of their team. They got a whole team of guys doing commercial real estate.
Okay. Okay. So you still recommend to buy? We have to evaluate that. So we have bought twice, and we are losing a little bit right now. Well, we'll see. If when somebody recommend buy, we will look at the SSG again. So can we just quickly take a look at the real estate, the O and the PSA? Thank you, Bernard, for the Ozark.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Okay, mute yourself.
What?
Mute yourself.
Okay, Roy.
Yeah,
I'll make
go
a
ahead and
presenter. Okay.
Make me a presenter.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, here's or realty income. And when we presented this in August, we used earnings per share, but we've Gia reminded us that we want to use funds from operations, and I used those numbers, and everything looked screwy. And then I learned from Doug Gerlach that it's earnings, or it's FFO per share, and which makes sense. If you're substituting earnings per share, you want to do something else per share.
Mm.
So anyway, Matt and I changed our SSGs to conform with that. And so these numbers under historical EPS really are historical FFO per share. And the 5-year average is 6.2, but we determined that 9% sales projection and 8 earnings or FFO made sense because of what we had perceived to be the growth. When we go to page 2, we looked at the FFO per share and projected that out for the 5 years to get the high price. And we did the same, with the normal, with low, but using FFO per share. And realty income came to a 3.2 to 1 ratio and a 21% rate of return, or the annualized using average was 19, which seems extraordinarily high to me, but that's the way the numbers came out. Let me see. Go back to.
So they have a properties across the United States and Puerto Rico.
Correct.
So I guess they will have some impact because of Puerto Rico hurricane.
Yeah.
So Roy,
Then, yeah, I'm going to pull up PSA, and with both of these, let's see.
maybe the top.
Wait a minute. I got to do it a different way.
Right.
I know. I already have it.
What does FFO stand for again?
Funds from operations.
Oh, funds from operations. Okay.
Yeah.
And let's see, public storage. This is the latest. So using the same numbers, and these numbers here are FFO per share, and the price is pretty high, 213. So, but it's reasonable that in 5 years we could project the high price to 384. The low price took some doing because originally, even after changing it to FFO per share, Matt was using the PE here for the low price, which distorted it. But using FFO numbers, we got a more reasonable low price, although it still seems a little high to me, which is why we have a 6.8. We played with it a couple of days ago and got it down to a 3.3 by weakening the low price. But anyway, the upside down is good, and it's 16% rate of return for using high PE or high FFO per share, and using average is a 13.6.
I have a question. I looked at the stock price. Can you go to the first page for PSA? So what would look like the price going up until this year? What happened is that the black market here, the price dropped. Do you have any ideas what happened to PSA? The price got.
You know, I don't. I wasn't the one that studied PSA.
Okay. Okay.
I forget what. I think Matt and I probably talked about it, but I'm not sure.
Okay, can I take a look at the O again? The stock price again for the O. For first page, just first page. So
See, they both fell, and so I'm not quite sure if it's nervousness on the interest rates, because that could have an adverse impact on REITs.
okay.
So I'm not quite sure.
Price is quite low then. Okay. So what's your final recommendation? Do you recommend O or PSA or?
Well, we liked them both. In August, we recommended we buy both. So.
But you didn't buy any.
We did
didn't
not
buy any because at the time it was the earning per share, was not the FFO.
Yeah, we were using earnings per share instead of the FFO per share.
Yeah, yeah. So so today you're looking at this FFO. What's your recommendation?
Well, if we use the, just strictly by SSG and did a comparison on that, the upside down looks better, but the projection actually looks better on O. The upside down is higher.
What's the return? What's the return? Compound return on O?
$21.
Wow. So better than PSA.
Yeah.
Public storage.
Yeah, I just looked them both up on Morningstar. Morningstar gives PSA 4 stars and O 2 stars.
Yeah.
So
I think O pays a dividend every month. Right?
They both. That's kind of part of their business. REITs, real estate, they pay dividends.
Monthly.
Tom, can you look up the stock study ones we just did? I forget what they're called. Crush and.
See
what their rating is.
What are the symbols?
Hi, Crush.
Yeah.
HCLP.
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 Yeah.
HCLP. Sorry,
I don't think I
what was
don't think you'll
one?
find.
No, it was in Morningstar. HCLP and what else?
SLCA.
Oh, so HCLP.
Okay, Roy, hold on for a
Crush
second. I still have a question on
3.
the O. I'm raising my hand.
Okay.
I still have a question on the O. So, Roy, I know you owned O. How do you like the company?
I don't own it yet.
Oh, you don't? For some reason, last time I thought you said you own O.
I was going to, and then you scared me off.
Well,
So I wanted to see how you guys reacted to FFO per share.
So Roy,
I see.
Roy, what?
Matt, when we talked on Sunday, he said that he thought that actually he would recommend O over PSA, but I kind of like PSA, so.
I think the PSA
and as far as Morningstar Star, I've
Uh-huh.
never found Morningstar Star to be worth anything.
Oh,
They're always 6 months behind.
So is O a REIT?
They both
Yes,
are
they're both
REIT.
REITs.
Both are REIT.
So,
Real
when Henny was talking about cyclicals, didn't he say that REITs are part of the cyclical?
No.
Yes,
No?
they are.
estate.
Yeah,
I think it is, right?
So,
These two act, I think, a little differently. As I recall, and it's been a couple months, realty income, for the most part, buys and leases back single user stores. Like Taco Bell and stuff like that. So it's a steady income, very, very little turnover, unlike those REITs that own shopping centers, which I know those prices have gone down a little bit because of Amazon scaring the wits out of everyone about having brick and mortar. But the
That's
kind
true.
of businesses that lease from realty income seem more stable. With PSA, it's interesting that when conditions get bad and people start downsizing or whatever, they rent storage sheds and to put stuff in until they relocate or they get their job comes back or whatever it is. So these two kind of go opposite of the normal REITs. And we looked at a ton of them back in August and discarded a lot of them because they were so cyclical. And we just couldn't trust where they would be, 6 months from now, let alone 5 years. Both of these we ended up liking.
Okay. Can I take a look at the graph again on the O? Doesn't look like you show 10 years. Why do you look like the graph is so short? The first page?
Yeah, let me get back to that just a second.
So Joanne, when Matt presented,
I can do it.
Yeah.
I can add them back in. I just did
what
it.
was the reason you crossed? Oh, you just want to see last 5 years, right? Is that what happened? Yeah. Oh, gotcha.
See, and you can see like realty through the recession, they actually maintain their sales and have gone zooming up.
Yeah. So I see what you're saying about online, online stores. They have other distribution center. What else they have? For O distribution center.
Single use, businesses like Taco Bell. I forget all the ones that I saw listed, but it's those type of businesses.
Yeah.
I think FedEx or UPS. UPS, I think, was a big customer of theirs.
Right. Can you compare the graph? I just want to see graph along with PSA. I think a PSA line looks a little better, little bit upstream parallel, just in terms of the line. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Well, I mean, if you want to look at it, the sales have started to dip a little bit.
Yeah,
in
the
PSA,
sales also flat.
where they're going up in
right. Yeah, I see. Okay. I really want to own REITs for a while. I just did not have any. Yeah. Okay, I'll make a motion by O.
Okay. I'll second that if I can.
Okay.
Looking at it again and like you bring me back to the graphs. I think I would have more confidence in. I think I would have more confidence in realty income, but I still like storage sheds. I've kicked myself for not buying those years ago.
Yeah. So Joanne, I actually want to talk to Susan Olsey because she has storage businesses. Actually, I want to ask her about what she thinks about storage business for her own, company.
I have a question. Anyway. Do we have extra cash? Can we buy more stock this?
Yes, we do.
I think we have
3,000 or 4,000.
4,000.
Yes.
Plus 1,000 from this month. So we have, I think, 5,000.
Okay.
Okay. So time for us to vote
on that one. On
everything.
Not on everything. Because I would like to make a motion to buy Crush.
Crush is the one that Jane presented, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So do we vote first on one and then on the other one?
We okay, I made a motion first. So we vote O first because I made a motion and then we can back to vote based the high Crush. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. So wait, I wasn't sure, Roy, did you second on that or you say if you can?
Yeah,
Roy? Okay.
Can I?
Okay, so go to your email looking for the stock ballot. And in the past,
Now, is my screen still being shown?
Yeah. Let me take it off.
Okay.
Okay. So, okay, the motion is, okay, sorry, should I restate my motion? My motion is buy $1,000 of O.
And I second that.
Okay. Open.
I want to
discussion?
say this, that better investing principle is to be fully invested, and we're not even coming close.
Well, that's why we're voting now.
Okay. But that's only 1,000. Okay.
I agree with you, say fully invested, but I felt like I felt like there's not, maybe after next month when the other earnings finished, reports finished, maybe we can buy more. So Bernard, you can also make motions for any of the stocks that you recommend. We can have a look.
Jay, quick question
Any?
on the voting ballots. Do you use the same email more than once?
Yeah, you can. Once this motion finished, I will delete the results, and then you guys can revote again.
Okay.
So, okay. Any other discussions about this buying $1,000 of O?
Hold on a second.
Okay.
Well, yeah, go ahead and discuss while I get Bernard set up.
Okay. So, no discussion. Okay, time to vote. Okay, so Joanne is going to cast a ballot.
What do you mean?
You go to response and you will see who has voted, who does not. We're still waiting for Bernard.
No, we got Bernard, don't we?
We did?
Oh, no.
Oh, we
need Bernard.
No, we don't.
Yeah.
We need
He's having a problem. Just a second.
Okay.
What are you looking at? You're looking at the.
We're looking for who has voted, who does
Don't
not.
look at that. Pull up your email.
Okay.
You had
Roy.
too many things up here.
Roy, I'm going to mute you. So, okay. And you just keep, did you vote?
Well,
Joanne?
yes.
You have to vote from the email, but you can look the ballot through the Google Drive. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I got it. It doesn't matter if we get Bernard's because it's already 100%.
Okay, excellent. Okay. All right. So, okay, now the first motion is passed. So tomorrow, Roy is going to buy $1,000 of O at the open price. So do we have any other motion? Which I'm going to delete. I'm going to download the response and delete it. Okay.
Okay.
Give me a moment. Okay, and then I'm going to delete, and then we can vote again. Okay. So Joanne has a motion.
Yeah, I moved to buy $1,000 worth of high crush.
Okay. Anyone second on that?
And,
I do.
And I would like to do it for learning purposes. I find the cyclicals very interesting.
Okay. Who's second on that? Henny or Jane?
Both.
Both.
Both? Okay. So the motion is by $1,000 of a high crash, open for discussion.
Well,
if
it was my own money, I certainly wouldn't do it. I mean, as far as just what I was looking at there, it just doesn't seem to. It seems highly speculative.
But is that because it doesn't look good on the SSG?
Well, yeah, the earnings are just all over the place. I just, I don't. It's just. I don't know, like a whirlwind or something, a bucking bronco.
But I think that's a cyclical stock. I think to be able to kind of wrap your arms around that bucking bronco that you said.
But you could probably look at Schlumberger, or I mean, you could look at some of these big companies that are involved in the same industry. And they would, cyclical, like steel companies or stuff like that. It wouldn't be just having these wild swings, but autos, I mean, but there's lots of cyclicals. But I mean, it would be a learning experience, that's for sure. And we got nothing to lose, really. It's play money.
Well, but that also helps us to make a decision as well. The reason why we are learning, but also I want to invest, for my own portfolio.
And I want to find out if there's other ways to look at the SSG than just our typical SSG principles of up, straight, and parallel, and the the upside down, 3-to-1 upside down ratio. If there's other ways of using the SSG to evaluate kind of non-typical, atypical stocks. No.
Actually, there are webinars talk about that. One of it is Amazon that Henny mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
I was on that one.
Were they using the SSG?
No,
Yeah.
they can't because there's no earnings for Amazon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so does Tesla. There's no earnings. That's why I felt like I missed. I felt like I missed the boat on Amazon. I said, okay, can I still buy? But I'm just not sure because I cannot rely on the SSG. But when Carol crossed, the son-in-law works for Amazon, and she went to Seattle, there were buildings everywhere. It's just amazing. And I went back. I want to buy, but I just wasn't sure because I cannot do it based on the SSG.
Okay.
But they they do have earnings. Amazon, Tesla doesn't, but Amazon does. It's just that
I thought Amazon was low or negative, or also was in the bottom of the chart.
No, right. Well, they had a drop for a couple of years, and then it went back up.
Okay. We should vote because we're like 40 minutes.
Okay. So is that the 75%?
No,
the majority?
Everybody hasn't voted yet.
I thought I just did.
I think Bernard and I have.
Okay.
No, Jane. Okay.
Okay, sorry. I just voted.
Okay.
Are we good?
Yeah.
So we passed then, majority.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Roy, you will buy $1,000 of High Crash tomorrow as well.
So can we also buy the storage?
Sure, if you make a motion.
Like Bernard said, we should be making our money work for. We should be fully invested, right? That looked like a good one to me. We bought and we bought High Crush.
So are you making a motion?
Yes, I'll make a motion to buy PSA.
Okay, I'll second.
Okay, let's go back to your email. The motion is by 1,000. How much?
Yes, 1,000.
$1,000 of a PSA. Open for discussion.
Well, one thing I'm wondering about here, not to be a wet blanket, but how many stocks can we reasonably follow, and how many stock reports can we have, like every quarter? I mean, every 4 times a year.
I'm glad you asked.
It has to be a limit.
Yes, I'm glad you asked. So in our agreement, we said that each of us follow no more than 2 stocks. And obviously, we also, guests, this is for you, if you're interested in joining us. We also want to expand the club, right? Have new members to join us. And I'm thinking as our portfolio gets bigger, probably we will not have stock studies. When earnings come out, we probably just have a meeting for earnings, because it kind of, takes more time to do earnings and especially annual reports. I think at some point we probably, starting from next year, we may not have stock studies if we got too many companies earnings are due. That's what I'm thinking. What do you guys think?
Well, either that, or I mean, what we may end up doing is doing a substitute. If we come up with a new stock next month, we'll probably recommend selling something else.
Yeah. Actually, Henny has recommended to sell CVS before, and then we agreed to see another quarter, so we will see what's going on with CVS. I'm due Disney annual report next month and see if we can do some substitution as well. Yes. So now the motion. Okay, Tom, are you satisfied with my response?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So the motion is to vote by PSA. Okay. Submit. Oh.
I don't know if
Okay.
mine went. Did you clear it?
Yeah.
I don't know if mine went or not.
No, yours didn't
You
go.
did. You did. Oh wait, no, you didn't. Tom, you didn't.
Well, I tried, but it didn't work.
So your vote is very important because right now is the halftime.
Okay.
So go to your email.
Yes.
Go to your email.
Yeah, it was break. Yeah, your vote is a breaking point, by the way, Tom. Because it was a 50-50.
No pressure.
No pressure. Yeah. So now we have to think about who's going to following what. I only have each of us, if we only follow one company, we probably should volunteer follow the second company. We'll have OPSA and which one? High Crush. I volunteer to follow O.
I'll follow PSA. Joanne, this is Joanne.
I can't. Jane and I can't follow
Your own
High Crush because we presented, so we might want to.
Can Henny follow High Crush? Because Jane presented. I'm asking the club. I'm asking Tom and.
It's fine. It's fine with me.
Yeah, it's fine with me.
Okay. So Henny, I think it's good for him to follow High Crush because Henny knows the industry, knows the business,
and I think that stock needs to be watched very closely because of the cyclical nature.
Okay. So I'm going to open the mic for our guests because sorry guests that we really went way over. So I'm just go from top. We would like to hear about what you think of our meetings. So if you have any questions and comments, I will go from the top. Andrew? Andrew, your mic is open.
Hello?
Hey, Andrew, we can hear you.
Okay, perfect.
So what do you think our meeting? Sorry, despite it went long.
No worries. I'm not gonna lie, it was very interesting. This is definitely something I wanted to be a part of, like from the get-go.
Great.
So I think I was told we participate in 2 meetings before we are allowed to join as members. Is that correct?
You observe 2 consecutive meetings, and then you will join a stock study with the stock study committee. To present. We don't expect you like know everything. We just want to see, if you feel kind of have a feeling of this is how we do stock studies. This is how much work, how much time you need to involve, and so kind of give you a feel of that, and then you decide whether you really want to join us.
Okay, awesome.
That
definitely sounds something I'd be interested in for sure.
Okay, great. So we'll looking forward to your next meeting then in November.
Sounds good. Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you, Andrew. And next one online is Jacqueline. Jacqueline is self-muted. I cannot unmute her. She is muted herself. So I'm going to Jennifer. Jennifer, hi, Jennifer.
Yes, hi.
Hi.
It seems to me in days gone by when we used to do the SSG, the Better Investing people put out particular articles about how to review banks, insurance companies, REITs, and cyclical companies. Whether those articles or that information is still around, I don't know. But we tended to stay away from them because they were difficult to analyze.
Yes, indeed, they are. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Jennifer, for tuning with us. And I hope we'll see you at the next meeting as well.
Yes, you will do.
Thank you. Hopefully you consider to join us some point.
Yes.
That would be excellent. Kathy. Kathy, did I see your name like Kathi Robinson? Hi, Kathy. You are unmuted. Okay, I'll give you a moment, Kathy. Next one is Mina.
Hi. So thank you for the invitation. I found the meeting to be both interesting and a little intimidating. I'm just new to to the general stock study. I think I think I was able to keep up with most of it, and the continuing studies I think is where I'm seeing where I need to work on. So I'm excited to sit in on the next meeting as well, and I'm hoping to join in the new year if my stock study goes well, and I'm excited by these esteemed members here. So yeah, no, but thank you very much for inviting me. I really do appreciate it.
I don't know who you mean by esteemed, but you know.
So yeah, we have some hot discussion here. This is a part of it. I actually like this theme discussion, you know, and you know, we all share our experience and our thoughts, ideas. I love this part, you know, not being quiet and just, you know, speak up to it. And so, Mina, we're so happy, excited for you and for the club, and hope that to my understanding, you are a lawyer, right?
Yeah, trying to be.
Trying to be? Okay. Actually, we have a lawyer, retired lawyer in our club. Roy is a lawyer, and we are glad to have you. And hopefully, we'll see you next month at our stock study meeting.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, excellent. Next guest is Sean. Oh, let me unmute him first.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hi. First of all, thank you for having me. I appreciate the input, for letting me give me this chance. I've not really sat into many of these chat groups before, but I found the structure very easy to follow, and I felt like if you're a newcomer, it was easy to go around and kind of follow what was going on. So it was very informative. I am very interested in joining this club, so I will be joining the next meeting. There are some terminologies still trying to get my head around, but I'm sure that'll come with time. But for the time being, like I said, it was very organized, and I didn't get lost quite a lot. And it was very interesting as well. Everyone kept it very precise and easy to follow for newcomers. So it's a thumbs up for me. I'd definitely be looking forward to joining next month.
I'm so happy for you, and thank you, Sean. And we're so glad that you can tune in with us. I totally understand in Canada right now is like all your bedtime, and yeah, I know. So we're so happy for you. So don't, as I mentioned earlier in the beginning of the meeting, don't worry about the terminologies. Don't worry about the tools. We all started. I cannot speak for all of them myself. We all started from. I started from knowing nothing about investing, and just, you know, through time, and we'll learn. And I think better investing educational program is just great, especially we learn together. You are never alone. When you do stock studies, you always pair with somebody, do it together. So we also assign mentors as a new member, and we assign mentor to you and to walk you through the process, how to analyze, research all the companies and evaluate the companies. So we'll learn over the time. I think once you join, I'm sure that in the long term, you will be a very successful investor like the rest of us.
Sounds good.
Thank you, Sean.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Rania next. She is on the phone. I don't know if you can speak, you think? Rania, if you can type in the chat box, then we can hear, we can see your thoughts as well. She's on the phone, so she has audio problem, I think. Okay. So anyway, I want to back to, never mind. So I guess Rania is the last person. She's also Henny's friend, and maybe she can show us an email and type in the chat box to let us know what she thinks. Well, thank you so much, everyone. And I'm so sorry our meeting went way over. And I hope that we see you at next month meeting, which is November, what, Brent? November 16th. It's always on. Oh, thank you. November 16th.
November 20th.
20th. Our meeting always fall on the third Monday, and California time, 6 o'clock. And November will be our last meeting for the year, and then we will start over again in January. So thank you so much, everyone. And I hope talk to you soon again next month.